to the sin we hold so dear. So what part can I play in the work of redemption? 'Cause I can't refuse, I cannot add a thing. 'Cause I am just like Lazarus, and I can't hear your voice. I stand and rub my eyes and walk to you, because I have no choice. I am thankful that I'm incapable of doing any good on my own. Said I'm so thankful that I'm incapable of doing any good on my own. By grace I have been saved, through faith that's not my own. It is a gift of God and not by works, lest anyone should boast. I am thankful that I'm incapable of doing any good on my own. Yeah. I said I'm so thankful that I'm incapable of doing any good on my own. I said I am thankful that I'm incapable of doing any good on my own. I said I'm so thankful that I'm incapable of doing any good on my own.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, Sunday, we got to hear you. Monday, last night, we got to hear you. Tonight, you're sharing your gifts with us again. My question is, what are you doing tomorrow night?
Church choir.
Oh, church choir. All right, church choir. I'll come listen to that too. That's good. Awesome. Thank you so, so much. They're going to stick around and sing another one of my favorite songs, 10,000 Reasons. We truly do have, if we count them up, I'm sure more than 10,000 reasons to give thanks for all the blessings that God has given to us here at Trinity over all of the years that Trinity has been a congregation. We continue to give thanks. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty thankful for that meal we had tonight and the wonderful fellowship. Something we don't often do is pause long enough to hear one another's story. And I, as a pastor, get to hear a lot of your stories in my capacity here at Trinity. But there's a couple of folks that are willing to share their story with your whole group tonight. So we're going to get some amazing faith stories, some wonderful surprises, and we continue the celebration. And I pray that you, like me last night, will go to sleep with a smile on your face saying, I'm pretty proud to be a part of this congregation. So turn to the song that is in your on your program in the back, 10,000 Reasons, and we will be led by this wonderful group of musicians.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul. Oh, my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship your holy name. You're rich in love and you're slow to anger. Your name is great and your heart is kind. For all your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, and worship your holy name. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing your praise unending. 10,000 reasons and forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship your holy name. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, worship your holy name. Worship your holy name. Lord, I'll worship your holy name.
Thank you, praise team. That is a very inspiring song. For me, it is. I'm Steve LeCount. I serve as your congregational president. And on behalf of the council, I would like to thank all of you for attending this special evening tonight to kick off for our Building on Blessings appeal. It's been my experience that good things happen because good people are willing to work and make them happen. And we're fortunate to have some exceptionally good people leading our appeal. We have Paul Smith and Dean Rhodes serving as co-chairs for this appeal campaign, and it's my pleasure to introduce Dean Rhodes. Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Good evening. I am pleased to have the opportunity to serve with Paul Smith as co-chairs of the Essential Appeal for the benefit of all members of Trinity. One of the key components of our past and future success has undoubtedly been and will continue to be God's guidance and grace. One of the first things I would ask of you is to continue to pray regularly for the success of this appeal, because we simply cannot accomplish our vision without God's assistance. Our Spiritual Life Committee has commissioned a special Building on Blessings token, and I have one. If you haven't received one yet, you can pick one up at the prayer table in the narthex at the conclusion of this program. We are planning a special 24-hour prayer vigil that will require participation from many of you. This will start on Thursday, November the 21st at 9 a.m. and conclude on Friday, November the 22nd at 9 a.m. You can sign up to participate in this prayer vigil at the prayer table. Everyone is also invited to attend our concert of prayer on Thursday, November the 21st at 7 p.m. This will be a special service of prayer, and you won't want to miss it. Now, how about that dinner? Julie mentioned it before, but the arrangements team who is responsible for the banquet tonight is just one of numerous functioning teams that have made this appeal possible. At this time, I would ask that anyone involved with any of the appeal teams or committees to please stand and be recognized for your efforts. Thank you. As a final note of recognition, I would like to acknowledge several of your fellow members who have already, through advanced pledges, committed well over $750,000 to this critical debt reduction campaign. What a fantastic and generous appeal kickoff. The rest of us will have the opportunity to join these generous members and bring our pledges to the altar at all services on November 23rd and 24th. As each of you prayerfully consider your pledge over the next few weeks, I do have some exciting news to share. Yesterday, I met with two of the trustees from the Trinity Foundation, and the foundation has agreed to commit up to $150,000 in matching funds for any new monies pledged either as new commitments or dollar increases from our last pledge. Thanks very much to the foundation for this generous commitment. Now I'm pleased to introduce the first of two faith stories that will be shared this evening. Please welcome Steve and Paulette Nelson to share their story.
I would suggest to you that there is a difference between a house and a home. Not all houses are homes, but what is it that makes the difference? What makes a house into a home? Paulette?
We see a house as just a structure, just a building. When you fill that house with a family, then it becomes a home. And we have always been, both of us, part of a very strong family home and also a very strong church home. From the time we were born, we've been Lutheran, and we followed that all the way through our college years, our separate years when we were each working, and then on into our time here at Trinity. We have been very, very blessed in all of our church homes and had so many mentors and good friends in all of those locations.
For me, the idea of church as home came naturally. I was raised on a farm in Faribault County. We attended a small country church where I was fourth generation of my family in that church. I have siblings who have since raised a fifth generation, so it's still going. But what does family mean? What do we mean by that? Family is a lot of things. We'd like to talk to you about 3 ideas tonight: involvement, mutual support, and commitment. Those of us who have families, you know what involvement means. You're constantly involved with your kids, or with your parents, or your cousins, or with your spouse. Their lives are your lives. Church family requires involvement too.
We have found over the years that our involvement in church was different depending on our place in life. The time that we spent here at Trinity, which is now 21 plus years, started when our daughter was 2. And so our involvement at that stage was, of course, to help out in the nursery. We worked with Trinity Nursery School. I did some teaching down there and did some subbing, served on the board. And we moved on up with our kids with Bible school teaching, Sunday school teaching, which we're still doing today. And during that time, I was home with the kids until they went to school. And Trinity also provided my part-time job. I was the financial secretary for almost 10 years, just shy of 10 years. And have been a member of the choir since I walked in the door. I still remember I was pregnant with David at the time, and one of our first friendships there, well, a couple we want to mention. We kind of had a grandmother and grandfather that greeted us from the first day we walked in and checked on us all the way through, and that was Odell and Lois Knutson. And another couple that came to us when David was born, representing the choir, Fred and Kay Wolf. And we hope that the ministry that they've shown us and the friendliness that they've shown is something that we will pass on to others as we become grandparent age or whatever, but to share our gifts with those around us.
Since Paulette was involved in TNS, naturally I ended up being what I call a TNS lackey, painting rooms and helping install the playground equipment the first time. It's been moved more than once since then, I know. Been on commissions and served as a lay reader. Both of us have been teaching Sunday school, involved in Meals of Hope from the beginning. We were involved in nursery till it just got to be too hard to get up off the floor anymore, and prayer ministry. And not 1 minute was time I regret. Beyond involvement, family means mutual support. You're there for each other, whether somebody needs a hug or a sympathetic ear, maybe some help with homework or maybe a little financial support or whatever it takes. Family is there to help each other. And that's true of church family as well.
We feel that Trinity has given us so much support. They helped us. One of the more important things, of course, and I'm sure many of you feel the same way, Trinity has helped us raise our kids and to give them a solid, firm faith background with all of their starting in TNS, going through Sunday school, Bible school, some excellent RE teachers and mentors. They both went on mission trips. Ellen has now continued and been over to Ethiopia. They both have a really strong base, and we are so appreciative of all the ministries here at Trinity that helped to develop that. You have given us many, many, many opportunities ourselves to learn and grow and serve, sometimes to be pushed outside of our comfort zone, but to keep going, to rise to the challenge because we were being called to do so. And we especially want to say a thank you for all of the support that we got and are still getting through Steve's cancer journey. And we have been supported by so many. I don't want to begin to name names because I would forget way too many, but all of the cards and the loving expressions of sympathy, the visits from the parish nurses and the pastors, we were overwhelmed. I am kind of a soppy person when it comes to emotions, and I have to say that the whole time that I was over in Rochester with Steve when he had his transplant, there were tears only once, and that was when my son called at 1 o'clock, and he had just woken up. Mom, what do I do? I didn't wake up. And of course, we had somebody to rise to that challenge too. Dave Weibke said, Paulette, I can stop by on my way to work. If you call him and he doesn't answer, he said, your next call is to me. So Dave had been his mentor. And we just had support from so many people. In fact, Steve was saying just the other day at church, someone asked him again, how are you doing? And you are pleased to announce?
Oh, as of next month, 4 years in remission. Trinity has helped us, supported us in spiritual growth as well, through Bible studies and sermons and retreats. The pastoral staff here over the last 20 plus years has been fantastic, both in their commitment of time, their spiritual insight, their caring, their wisdom, and a special blessing to us. I want to give you one specific example of spiritual growth through our time at Trinity, because this one relates so much to why we're here tonight. About 20 years ago, shortly after we had come here, John Lestock was preaching a stewardship sermon. And he started out saying, many people give out of convenience. Others give until it hurts. But he went on to suggest there's another level. Give until it stops hurting and starts to feel good. I thought about that for about the next 10 years. And the reason I stopped thinking so much about that was because about that time there was one of those fall men's retreats. And during one of those retreats, there was a prayer. We've all prayed, God, use me. This prayer was a little different. A 2-letter word tacked on the end made all the difference. This prayer was, God, use me up. Think about that. I've been thinking about that for the last 10 years.
We support Trinity by our involvement, by attending congregational meetings and providing whatever input we can with our giving, with our serving, and our prayers.
Finally, family also means commitment. Anybody who's raised kids know they cost a fortune, right? In dollars, in time. If you didn't have kids, you could have nicer houses, cars, clothes, travel. Kids, family can mean a lot of hurt, misunderstanding, disagreements. But I've never heard anybody say, I wish we never had kids. Family is something that is not always pleasant, but you don't walk out on it. You see it through. You stick with it. You stay with the involvement and support and commitment because you know that at the end, it's way worth it, well worth it. How much more so is that true of our church family?
We are, again, thankful for our blessings. We're committed to Trinity, and this fundraising project, and we hope you'll join us.
Thank you, Steve and Paulette, for sharing that wonderful story. When I hear stories like that, I am truly humbled by the church family we belong to. Now I'd like to introduce Gail Zollner, as she has graciously agreed to share her faith story.
I'm here tonight to share my story of faith, family, and friends. Faith has always been a part of my family. Family is a big reason that we are here. My parents taught me well that faith is about both giving and receiving. I watch the offering envelope go in the plate each week without fail, and we follow in our giving also. My mom taught me about giving of time and talents by stuffing at that time at Redeemer the midweek reminder, and about being circle member. My dad taught me about giving back to church in ways that he participated as being a treasurer, counting offerings, helping with envelopes, and then every once in a while getting up for a meeting in a quick burst of, oh geez, off the couch when he just remembered he had to go to a meeting. My current family is also growing here and has grown up here. Through Trinity, we have grown through many parts of it. We have participated or are participating in many of the same things that Paulette and Steve noted: nursery, TNS, choir, photo directory, ushering, Sunday school, quilting, youth group, God's Players, Good Friday service, youth group, lay reading, and worship and music and arts commissions. The joke at our house is that when I retire from Federated, they know they'll find me here because then I can just be here full time. These are the various opportunities and things that we have received for which we are so thankful, because Trinity is part of our family too. Another thing we have received is many friendships through participating and being here. Trinity is our community where we celebrate our joys and receive support through our trying times. So as our story, Trinity is an integral part of our family, faith, and friends.
Thanks, Gail, very much for sharing your story. At this time, I would like to invite Pastor Blair Anderson, our appeal consultant with Kairos, to share in our celebration.
It has really been an honor to be with you. I was counting back how long I've been coming around here, and it's been 9 months. It was shortly after the end of January that we started recruiting the executive team and some of the other leaders, and here we are into November now. As I was thinking about tonight as well as last night, about a week ago, I got some letters from a distant cousin, a second cousin, and she said, Blair, your great aunt and uncle were actually charter members of Trinity Lutheran Church in Owatonna, Minnesota. And she sent me a letter that was written by your pastor 90 years ago, 1923, when Norval and Emma Anderson left Trinity to go to English Lutheran in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And I just want to share it with you. It's rather formal. We don't really write in this style anymore, but it's rather interesting. Dated May 1st, 1923. Somebody took me out to the picture board last night after the meeting, and sure enough, Pastor Kildell's picture is there. He was actually the second pastor of the church. But this couple were there from the day it opened. At a special meeting of the Trinity English Lutheran Congregation of Owatonna, Minnesota, the following resolution was adopted. We, the members of the Trinity English Lutheran Congregation of Owatonna, Minnesota, do hereby express a feeling of deep regret over the removal of the Norval Anderson family from Owatonna to La Crosse, Wisconsin. We feel that this is a distinct loss to our congregation. And at the same time that we regret the loss of said family, we wish to express our hearty appreciation to the respective members of said family as follows. We wish to express our sincere and hearty thanks to Norval Anderson for all the interest he has taken in our congregation, for all the time and labor he has spent in behalf of the congregation, for all the material and moral support he has given to our congregation, and especially for serving as secretary of our congregation from the time it was founded until his departure from La Crosse. We wish also to thank Emma Anderson for the invaluable services she has rendered our congregation, especially for serving so faithfully and entirely as president of the Ladies' Aid. And we would likewise add a vote of thanks to daughter Doulis, for her efforts in behalf of the choir, the Sunday school, and the Luther League. To each and every member of said family, we would express our most hearty and sincere thanks and wish you God's richest blessing in your new field of labor. And it's signed by 5 trustees and 3 deacons and Pastor Johann Kildell. So I feel somewhat of a kindred spirit with you as I continue my work with you. For many years, I had a placard on my desk that went something like this: just when you think God is all you have, you realize He's all you need. And that has proven to be so true in my life, that sometimes we get between a rock and a hard place, and we realize that God is all we need. I don't think God has brought you this far to let you down. I believe your future is as bright as the promises of God. That's true of every church. And I also believe that God has placed in every congregation all of the resources that are necessary to do His perfect will. I think that's just how God does His banking. That's how God creates churches. Now, Lutherans are notorious for believing they're poor. And yet Lutherans and Episcopalians are some of the wealthiest people on planet Earth. And yet somehow we think we're poor. What an affront to God, huh? When we are so blessed, and we ought to be living off that blessing. As I was thinking about Trinity and the 9 months that I've been with you, there are 3 things that ring true, very true, I would say. Number 1, you really get mission. You really believe that your church is all about mission, about giving yourself away locally, regionally, and globally. I think that's why you put the building up. It's not an ego trip. It's not out of pride, but as I listened to stories early on, it's really wrestling with how can this church position itself as a launching pad for future ministry and mission to new generations that will come along. And just sitting there last night and tonight, what a wonderful space for dining and for so many other things that I think you've just begun to discover how you can utilize a space like that to serve your own people as well as serving the whole community. I think that is just going to be a wonderful mission outpost. Secondly, I think you really believe that it's all about faith active in love. You are a loving congregation. You have loving pastors, a loving staff. But there is a spirit of love in this congregation. Don't take that for granted. Not every congregation is all that loving. And yet Jesus said, by this all people will know that you're my disciples if you have love one for another. And Paul said, faith, hope, love abide, but the greatest of these is love. I have certainly felt that amongst you people. And a loving church, I think, is a healthy church. A loving church is an attractive church. I don't think people are coming to church anymore just to do church. I think people are fed up with autopilot, business as usual, status quo church. But churches like yourself that believe in life transformation, where you believe if people come under the hearing of the word, under the gospel, if they meet Jesus, there will be life transformation, radical transformation in their lives. And that's why you're here. And that's why you're willing to invest in a facility. Facilities facilitate mission. Facilities are not the mission. But God knows we need warm buildings in Minnesota in the winter and cool and dry buildings in the summer. And I think what you are doing is God-honoring. And then thirdly, you're all about generosity. A generous people are a God-honoring people. I don't know if any of you saw the special on NBC earlier this year, but there were two studies, kind of a confluence of two studies that came together, and they were sharing some of the conclusions, and several of the conclusions were that, number one, generous people on the average live longer. And second of all, generous people on the average experience better mental health. They're happier, and they're just better adjusted emotionally. So why wouldn't you want everybody within Trinity to be a generous person, huh? It's good for us. Remember Billy Graham telling a story about receiving a letter from a 5-year-old boy. And he said he opened the letter, and in this letter was a dollar bill and then a short letter attached to it, and it went something like this: Dear Billy, I heard on the radio that you are in need of funds, so I'm sending some of my allowance. And if you need any more help, just let me know. Well, the reality is we can't give what we don't have. There are people in this congregation that could certainly give $1 million. I believe that with all my heart, soul, and mind. There's people that can give $500,000. Quite a few people that can give $100,000. Some people can give $1 a week. So if we don't look at what our neighbors are doing, but we look at how God is operative in our lives, at how God has blessed us, and then when we respond out of how God is blessing us, Trinity will do just fine. I believe that grace begets gratitude, and gratitude wants out in a life of generosity. How can we look at a blood-stained cross and not be generous people, where God is the most generous of all? I think you believe that the church is the hope of the world. I do believe that you think that the church is the greatest enterprise on planet Earth. So it's worthy of your best practices. It's worthy of your most generous gift. Not leftovers, not spare change, but worthy of your very, very best. Because God has given His very best to you and to me. As you prepare for a Commitment Sunday, just a few weeks away, I would hope that you would consider praying the prayer that's on the banner every day. Lord, what would you do through me to accomplish your perfect will through Trinity Lutheran Church? Lord, what would you do through me to accomplish your perfect will through Trinity Lutheran Church? If we all pray that, if we have hearts of surrender, and we get out of the way and give God's Holy Spirit a chance to work in our lives and direct us, I think Trinity is going to do just fine. You could exceed what you did 3 years ago, and you did very, very well 3 years ago as a very generous people. And I just hope and pray that you'll just be in absolute awe as to what God has done again in your midst. So thank you for the opportunity of serving you.
Thank you, Blair. It's about 18 months ago that I first interviewed by the church council here at Trinity, and I had remembered that Pastor Lestock told me over the phone that Trinity was involved in a building project. When I turned the corner off Lincoln, I looked, and it seemed to me like the whole block was under construction. And from my earliest memories, therefore, it seemed for several months that there was going to be a new change every single week. Maybe some of you remember the relief we felt when gas turbines were put into the sanctuary to heat things up so we didn't freeze to death in our worship. In some ways, though, those weren't the biggest changes. What was a bigger change was developing a new vision so that it would clarify what we needed in pastoral leadership, new pastoral leadership. That wasn't planned, nor was it planned to do the second appeal without the leadership of Pastor Lestock. So when I think about the changes that you've been through in the last couple of years, wow. Very, very significant. And yet it's a funny thing, when I think about Trinity, that I've come to know now, that the change is not what I think about. That's more like the setting of the play, but it's not the play. Here's what I've come to observe as I think about you. I think that there's a significant DNA in this congregation that understands, finally, this is about following Jesus. That's what matters most. And so it's not actually a surprise that Trinity has a pretty significant chunk of its money that goes to support outreach, community, regionally, nationally, and even internationally. Because you get that outreach is part of the core of discipleship itself, even though it's more expensive. Another thing that I've noticed is that, remember, Trinity started when a group of people just decided that it was not a good idea that kids that were brought up speaking English had to learn Danish or German in order to get confirmed, even though none of the pastors were able to see that in the community, and so they started Trinity English Lutheran Church. That's the reason they started. The DNA about caring for kids is still here. You care about kids, and it shows. I also notice that there are some traditions that you value that have been passed on by people you really admire, and you see them in your worship. I hear them. Names like Tenney and Zinter and Voth and Lestock, they're all gone now. But you still hear it in worship. And I picture something in this congregation that's increasingly rare. I don't know if you're aware of it. Trinity is one of those congregations where you have very strong cores of people in all of the age groups. There are many churches that would give their eye teeth to have that, including families of several generations Perhaps partly because of the wonderful entrepreneurs in Owatonna that started the kind of businesses that allow kids to come back and find jobs and raise their families here and be proud of their school system and the institutions. But there's a wonderful blessing in that. And I've also noticed that I think that maybe that's one of the reasons there's wise blood in the congregation. Here's what I mean by wise blood. You've had your bumps. Most congregations will. What defines a congregation are not the bumps that it encounters, it's what they do with the bumps. And what I think happens in Trinity is you call each other back to relationships, to forgiveness, and to mission. And you move forward. That's the Trinity I've gotten to know. I didn't finish the story about when I saw the true nature of this building project. I asked Tom Crosby a bit gently, how much did this cost? And he said, $10 million. I was concerned. A couple years before, I came in a congregation that had a great vision, but they really hadn't owned and understood, I think, the true cost of it. Their pastor had to leave. The Great Recession hit right about the time I came, and their $75,000 a month mortgage started to sink their whole ministry. So I gently asked the question, how have you done? Have you raised any money? And I heard the number 5.5 million, and I had been thinking that maybe I wasn't going to come. And I was relieved. I thought, okay, these guys know what they're doing. They're taking a big risk. They have a big vision, but they're owning what that's going to take. So I know that you've had some challenges, but the fact of the matter was that Jesus always said discipleship would have those challenges, right? And he ended up saying, my grace is sufficient. So you're the kind of a congregation that I kind of like to root for. Because to me, when a congregation is committed to mission, and they have a big vision, and they're willing to do the things that are needed to continue, there are going to be great things that happen. We're counting on each of you to seek God's guidance regarding your part in this appeal. Remember, it's one appeal, two funds. The fund that we often talk a lot about is the capital side, which has to do with the debt that we want to retire. But I think you understand that the reason we want to retire this debt as soon as we can is not simply just good money management. We don't want that debt to get in the way of the very reason we built in the first place, which was the ministry. The ministry is the second part of that appeal. Two funds, one appeal, two funds. You know that in the mission that you created, that you've said, we don't want to back away from youth ministry at all. And we don't want to back away from worship, and we don't want to back away from the outreach. We're proud of those things, but you did say as a congregation, we can do better in the ministry that we do to, with, and by adults in terms of more connections, better use and development of people's gifts, a better capacity to be there when they're hurting each other, and to be able to reach out to an increasingly large population in our society that very frankly does not know the language of faith and often knows very little about Jesus. So I believe you're going to be about continuing this journey well. I think you realize that for a church to do what it's asked to do costs more. God's brought you this far. One of the reasons that both Norma and I decided we wanted to, and we have made a pledge, is because even though we're not going to be here, it's very easy to feel a kinship with a congregation that's about mission. So, thank you. I have really appreciated being here and getting to know you.
Tonight, when you sat down and you heard from Steve and Paulette and Gail, you heard great story and a very heartfelt message. And as I sat in my seat, I thought, oh, great. They just took my thunder. Everything I wanted to say, these three just took from me. But I think the common message that you'll hear tonight really does center around blessings and family. My story goes something like this. It was the fall of 1995, and out here in this hallway by the lounge where people would go in and out for their donuts, there was just this whirlwind of activity. And I said to myself, I'm out of here. We had been at Trinity for about a year, and I thought, nobody talks to you, nobody engages you, nobody cares about you. You know, Trinity really can be a big and impersonal place. And for me, it was a bit of a light bulb moment, and I would be very quick to admit that it was probably God flipping the switch when I really had to ask myself, how much have I really applied myself? This is a familiar story, and it's about receiving much more than we give. And I'll admit that my modest involvement here has provided abundant returns. You see, because of Trinity Lutheran Church, our sons have been confirmed and find themselves on a solid faith footing. Because of Trinity Lutheran Church, I've been to Pine Ridge, I've been to the Rocky Mountains, and I've been to Ethiopia. Because of Trinity Lutheran Church, I was supported following the loss of my father. Because of Trinity Lutheran Church, I sang with Paul Mons, the composer and organist. Because of Trinity Lutheran Church, in that pew where Rod Baker is sitting, I got to sit with Ann Lorman, my classmate from Lincoln School all the way through the Owatonna High School, and her family during a Thanksgiving service. Because of Trinity Lutheran Church, every week I get to spend time with 7th graders at the RE class. I admit that these experiences are just the tip of the iceberg, and when I weave them together, they have given me an unbelievable wealth, and it's a wealth that begs the question, what would I have done these past 20 years without you? Because together we are a family. In addition to love and support, families have frustrations and anxious moments, and maybe these sound familiar to you. But we feel anxious because sometimes pastors leave. John Lestock left, and he is a rock in my life. He's a close friend, and he's not here anymore. We feel anxious sometimes because the ELCA, it leads us in directions that cause fractions within our church family. We feel anxious because sometimes congregations make building decisions that we disagree with. And I would be quick to tell you, I struggled with this. I struggled with this addition. I really wrestled with it. It was personal, and I felt a lot of guilt. But families mend. We reconcile and heal and grow, and I believe that we are a family. Trinity Lutheran Church is rich, fertile ground that is only realized and appreciated by our collective energy and effort. Right now, we are at the tough part of a journey. There's no fanfare, there's no groundbreaking, there's no visible daily signs of construction progress. You know that tonight we're sitting here and we're talking about money. And ultimately, this ministry cannot be hindered by a mortgage. It will hold us back. Tonight I want to leave you with my indelible image of Trinity, and the vantage point was up in the choir loft on Christmas Eve. And it was during a midnight service. As a congregation, we joined hands, and it spanned this center aisle. And at that very moment, this sanctuary became very small and safe and intimate. Today, we are a tightly woven fabric. We're colored by our differences, and we're strengthened by the mystery of our faith. This is our home. This is our call. And we're in. Barb and I, we're in. Paying down this debt really matters to us, and we hope it matters to you as well. We'll watch a video.
There's concern that after profound talks from Blair and from Peter and from Mark and a powerful video that I'm going to get up here and say something stupid again. But I won't this time. I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you, first off, to whoever it was that finally talked to Mark in the hallway, because I know that you've talked to other people and made this place from a very big place into a very small place. Thank you for accepting the invitation to be here tonight. I hope you've heard some other invitations too. I hope you've heard some invitations to serve, to give, to participate, maybe in ways that you had never thought you would before. Because this is a big deal, and it's exciting, and it's a good time to be here. And as I look and see so many folks who have been such faithful servants in so many different ways, it's exciting for me. And I'm fully aware what a privilege it is to be able to serve here. So thank you for being here and for all that you've done and for all that you're going to continue to do. And so as we conclude our evening, let's pray. Our great God, thank you. Thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed on this place to these people, not just the ones in this room, but to all the saints who have come before us. Thank you for the ways that you have blessed the leadership here with vision, with ingenuity, with enthusiasm to do your work in the world. Lord, continue to bless the life of this congregation. Continue to raise up faithful and dedicated and committed leaders. Continue to provide for us the courage and the enthusiasm and the energy and the resources to do what it is that you've called us to do and to be who it is that you've called us to be. Lord, we thank you for the way you've blessed us, and we pray that you'll give us the vision and guide us into the next phase of life at Trinity. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Go in peace to serve the Lord. Thank you for being here tonight.